Hey, so in this video, I'm going to show you how to build out your first AI agent step-by-step in n8n. And this tutorial is for beginners and people new to n8n who are looking to get started with their first AI agent. All right, let me show you a demo of this agent and then we'll build it out step by step. So the use case here is we have a mini CRM in Airtable. So we've got a table with leads with their name and company and email. And then we also have a secondary table here with a running list of all of the interactions that we have with our leads. And I built the agent out here to interact with our lead database. So we can search the leads, we can update leads, and we can add new records in Airtable directly through a chat interface in n8n. So what I can do is just open up a new chat here, and I can chat with my database through my AI agent, right? So I can say something like, show me all leads in the proposal stage worth over $3,000. So if I go into my database here in my lead table, I can see that I have two contacts here, Sarah and Dana, both in the proposal stage, and they are both over $3,000. So the agent should come back with both of those leads. So we can see that the agent is hitting the OpenAI chat model. It's going to search our record database, and it's going to come back with Dana and Sarah there. So both of them in the proposal stage and both over $3,000. So we're able to search our lead database. Not only that, but we can have our agent add new records in Airtable, right? So let's say we have our interactions table. Again, this is a running list of all interactions with our leads. So let's say I just got off a call with one of the clients here, one of the leads, and I'm going to say log a new interaction for Dana Scully. Had a phone call May 10th. She's interested but needs budget approval. Follow up on May 17th. Sentiment was positive. So I'm going to fire this off, and what's going to happen is my agent is going to search the leads, and then it should hit the update interactions tool, and it's saying the interaction for Dana Scully has been logged successfully. So when I come back into my interactions, I can see there's a new record in there. We've got Dana on May 10th. The channel was a call, had the phone call, interested in CRMs but needs budget approval. Sentiment was positive, and then we have the next follow-up date. So again, in this video, I'm going to walk you through how you can set this up step by step inside of n8n. And if you want to grab this template, be sure to check out my school community linked below. So let's build this out step by step in n8n. The only other thing you're going to need is an Airtable database. And again, I have this kind of mini CRM database here. There's two tables. I've got a leads table. You can just take a screenshot or pause the video and look at all the columns I have here, but it's name, company, email, phone, source, and stage. And again, these are going to be single select dropdowns, which are going to be important later on. I've got the value and the owner. And then my second table is a running list of interactions. So every time I have a call with a lead, we're going to log the results in that interactions table. So inside of your n8n dashboard, we just want to do create workflow, and we're going to trigger this on a chat, right? So we just want to chat with this agent and give it instructions. So I'm going to click add first step and then select on chat message. And then once we have that, what we want to add next is our actual agent. So I'm going to hit the plus button over here. I'm going to select AI, and then I'm going to select AI agent. I'm going to leave the source for prompt as the connected chat trigger node. I'm going to leave the prompt as the JSON that's already configured in here. And then down in the options is where you can add a system message. Okay, so this is instructions for your agent on how to behave and kind of what to expect. So I have a prompt here on my clipboard. Again, this will be available in my community as a template, but I'm basically saying you are CRM bot, and then I'm telling it the tools I'm going to give access to, right? The search leads, update leads, search interactions, and update interactions. And I'm saying these are in Airtable, and I'm just saying always respond with a short confirmation in plain English after the tool runs. And then we'll click out of here, and what we're going to need to do is add a chat model next. So you can see we've got this kind of a red star here that's telling us we need to add the chat model, right? So basically, we're kind of making a mini ChatGPT here. So you can choose any large language model that they have, like Claude or Gemini. I am going to go with OpenAI, and then I'm going to go with GPT-4o Mini. Now, if you have not connected your OpenAI account yet, you will need to do that. There will be instructions from n8n with a doc on how to do that. You basically go to your OpenAI account, you grab your API key, and then you plug your API key into n8n, and then you're able to select it from the dropdown up here. This is where you select your model. I'm going to keep this on GPT-4o mini, but they have all of the models from OpenAI. And now that that's set up, we can click out. Now, the next thing that we're going to want to do is add some memory to our chat. And the reason for this is what happens when we chat with our agent here, right? So I can say something like, hello, how are you? And it's going to respond, I'm here to assist you. How can I help you today? But it's not going to remember our past conversations if we don't add memory. So I can say something like, my favorite food is tacos. I'll send that off and said, it's great to hear. If you have any questions or need something, let me know. So what if I say, now, what is my favorite food? And it's going to come back and say, I'm not able to access personal preferences. If you need assistance with something else, let me know. So it's not remembering our chat history. So in order to do that, we need to add memory, right? So let me come back into my agent, and on the memory, I'm just going to hit plus. And there are a few different memories that you can set up. They're a little bit more advanced, but you can see n8n is telling us, hey, for simple memory, no credentials required, choose the simple memory module here. And so I'm going to leave all of these settings as is. So the context window length is how many past interactions the model will receive, right? So right now it's going to go back 5 conversations to have the memory. So you can change that if you want, but we'll just leave that at is. Now I'm going to save. Let me open a chat and kind of refresh. And again, I'm going to say now my favorite food is tacos. All right, and we can see actually down here that it's hitting the memory. Okay, and now I'm going to say, what is my favorite food? Question mark. Now, it should remember, based on the past chat, that my favorite food is tacos, right? So you can see it's hitting the memory here. And that's why it's important to add the memory, so you can have somewhat of a back and forth conversation with your agent. So the next things that we're going to need to add are the tools in n8n. And this is really where the magic happens, where we can give our agents the ability to do things on our behalf. So again, in this demo, we're going to go with Airtable, but there's many different tools that you can give your agent. So the first thing that I want to do here is allow our agent, again, to search through the lead database. Now, imagine this lead database is 2,000 people, right? And so it's nice to be able to query your database on, hey, what is Ellen's phone number? Or what's the value of her contractor? Or what's the status or the stage of where we are with this person, right? So in order to do this, we're going to need to go to Tools and then hit this plus button. And you're going to see all of these available tools pop up. But I'm going to search for Airtable and then click on that. So the first thing you'll need to do is connect your Airtable account if you haven't done that. Again, n8n has docs on how to do that. It takes a couple of minutes, but it's easy to set up. So once you have done that, we need to configure a couple of things here. So for the tool description, we actually want to change this to manual. And what this is going to do is provide, and we can hover over this tooltip here, it's going to explain to the LLM what the tool does. Okay, so it's saying a good specific description will allow the LLM to produce expected results much more often. So this is a very important field, right? We want to tell our agent basically when to use this tool. Okay, and so what we're doing with this specific Airtable tool is look up and search for leads in an Airtable database. And you could make this much more specific. I'm going to leave it at that just to give it a little bit of context. Then for the resource, we're going to leave this as a record. In the operation, we need to change this, right? So remember, this is kind of the action that we want to take in Airtable. So we want to search for specific records. So I'm going to change that to search. Now, once you have your Airtable database connected, this is where you want to choose your base. Okay, so my base is called the Mini CRM Lead Assistant. So I'm going to select it from the drop down here. So you can see I've selected my base here. And next, what it's going to ask me to do is select my table. So in this example, I do have two tables, leads and interactions. For this specific tool, it's to search the leads. So in the drop-down list here, I'm going to search the leads for the table. Everything else we're going to leave as is. So let me come out of here. Let's save this. And now let's just do a simple test here. So let's search a lead. So what I can say is, let's take John Reese as an example. So I can come into my chat, I can clear the previous chat, and I can say, can you search the email address for John Reese? Okay, and what we can see here is it's going to hit that Airtable, search the record, and it's saying, I found the email for John Reese, john@machineco.com. And so you can see it's correctly identifying and able to search through the Airtable database. All right, now that the search leads functionality is working, you can see that I renamed this node here. I want to add the ability to update or create new leads in Airtable as well. So what I'm going to do is duplicate this node here by right-clicking, clicking on duplicate. Now let me drag this back over, and then from the tool, I'm going to drag that into this node. Now let's double click in here. And the first thing that we can do is rename this. So instead of search leads, we'll rename it to update leads. And now we need to change the description as well. So again, our description is going to be set to manual, but we're not looking up and searching. What we're doing is use this tool to add new leads or update existing leads in Airtable. Resource, we are going to leave as record, but operation, now we need to change this, right? So we're not searching anymore. What we're going to do is create or update, or what it's called is upsert. So let me select that. Now the base and the table are going to be the same, right? Same database and the same table, which is going to be leads. Now, mapping the columns is where it gets really important and you have to pay attention. So the columns that we want to use when matching rows in Airtable, we're going to keep this as the ID. And then what we need to do is values to update, right? So we need to map these values. In other words, if you look at our Airtable database for leads, we've got name, company, email, and phone, right, which match with all of these. Name, company, email, phone. Source and stage are a little bit different, and we'll get into that in a second. Value and owner. And then what we want to do is to match the ID, right? So every single record in Airtable has an ID, right? So if I hover over Sarah Connor's name and click into it, I want you to pay attention to the URL up here in Chrome. So when I open this up, you'll see that we have a record ID, okay? So each record in Airtable has a record ID. So we want to use that as the ID to match. Now, I believe n8n added this recently, which is very handy, and it gives you the option to allow AI to map it automatically, right? Let the model define the parameter. And we can see this option is available for every field except for source in stage. So for the ones where it is available, I'm going to select this. And if you want to see what it's doing behind the scenes, you could click the X button, and then it's going to show you the expression and the code that it's using, right? So it's this from AI, and then we've got the key, the description, the type, and the default value, and those last three are optional. If you want to look at kind of the code behind the scenes here, you could just click the AI button, then you click X, and then it will show you. But I'm going to let AI automatically choose these fields for me. All right, now remember, for the source column in the stage column, we're using these single select dropdowns, right? And so now with Airtable, whereas before with these other fields, we can let the AI kind of map this automatically. But with these single source dropdowns, we need to use an exact match label like referral or proposal here, or Airtable is going to ignore the value and leave it blank. And so in order to do this, I did go to ChatGPT to help me out with this. And so I'm going to share the code here. So I'm going to click into expression. So for source, what I'm going to do is click on expression, and I'm going to use this little bit of code again that I got from ChatGPT. And what this is going to do is it's using that from AI code to pull in the answer, the raw AI answer. And then we're providing it with the three options here inside of Airtable for source, which again, web, referral, and ad. And then we're going to do the same thing for the stage field. So again, stage, we have this single dropdown with proposal, new, contacted, won, and lost. So click into expression. And again, ChatGPT gave me this code. It'll be in the template in my community. And again, we're kind of just listing out the options here. And then we're telling the from AI here which answer to pick based on the chat message. All right, so after doing that, we should be all set. Let's go back and let's save and test this out. All right, so let's take Sarah Connor's stage status here and have that updated. So let's open up the chat, and what I can say is, please update the stage status for Sarah Connor to 1. And let's fire that off. So it's going to search the leads, and then it should update our leads here. It says the stage status for Sarah has been successfully updated to 1. And if we go back, we can see that it did that perfectly. All right, now we can add our third tool here, which is going to be to search these interactions, right? Our second table. And so I'm going to come back into n8n, and I am going to clone the search leads node here. So let me duplicate that, drag it over, connect it as a tool. Let's click into it, and then we'll rename this to search interactions. All right, now we're going to change the description, of course. So search lead interactions in Airtable. The resource is going to be record. The operation is going to be search, but we're going to need to change the table name here to interactions. And we can leave all of the other settings as is. So that's an easy one to set up. So again, let's save this. And then for our interactions, let's ask for the summary on Marty McFly here. So let's go back here and say, can you search through my interactions and provide the last summary for Marty McFly? So let's send that off and see if the agent is able to hit the correct tool, which is the search interactions. And here we go. So the last interaction was on May 1st. The summary states the deal was closed and he wants the implementation to start as soon as possible. And if we click into this summary for Marty here, deal closed, wants implementation started ASAP, okay? So it's able now to search all of your interactions in your CRM. Now, again, imagine this database here with thousands of lead interactions, and you have access to all of the information with a simple chat. All right, so for our last tool, it's gonna be, again, for interactions, but now instead of searching, we wanna be able to add new records or update existing records. All right, so what I'm gonna do is duplicate the search interactions node. So let me go in here and do that. We'll just connect it to n8n as a tool. We'll come in here, and then let's update this name to update interactions. We're gonna leave the credentials and the tool description as set manually. Now let me come grab tool description here. So we're not searching lead interactions. We wanna update and create lead interactions in Airtable. We need to change the operation from search to create or update. The base is correct. The table is correct. The columns to match on is going to be ID. And now for our fields here, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to let AI map the ones that are able to. So ID, lead, date, summary, and next follow-up. And now for our channel and sentiment, again, when I go back in here, these are all drop downs, right? So the channel are drop downs, single select, and the sentiment. So we're gonna use that code from ChatGPT again. So for channel, I'm gonna click in here and change this to expression, and then add this little bit of code, which is telling AI to search for the chat and then use either one of these three responses. And then for sentiment, I'm going to do the same thing, click into expression next to it, and then paste in this code from ChatGPT. All right, so now all of our fields are mapped. Now, one very important point here, when you're dealing with dates inside of Airtable, when you scroll all the way down here to options, I want you to select or click on add option and then select typecast. And we're going to turn this on. And this basically deals with when we click on this little icon here, it's how it's going to handle the date values inside of Airtable. So if you try to feed Airtable a date that's formatted like I have mine with month, day, year, as opposed to year, month, and date, the API will not accept that. It's not going to update. So this typecast is basically telling Airtable to chill out and allow that format to go through. All right, so let's click out of here. Let's save this, and now let's test it. Let's test this functionality. So let's try to add a new interaction inside of Airtable. So let me come to my chat. I'll just clear out what we have before. And let me say, log a new interaction for Sarah. Had a phone call. She's interested in migrating CRM, but needs budget approval. Follow up on May 17th. Sentiment was positive. Okay. So let's send that off. And let's see if our AI agent is going to search the leads, and it should update the interactions, which it did. And it's saying the interaction for Sarah O'Connor has been successfully logged. And now if we go back into our database here, I can see that we have Sarah O'Connor as a new entry here on May 10th. It was a call, had a phone call, interested in migrating CRMs, but needs budget approval. The sentiment was positive, and we have the next follow-up on May 17th, 2025. All right, so that's how to get your first AI agent set up in n8n as a beginner. Do me a favor, if you enjoyed this content, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and leave me a comment below on what kind of build out you want to see next.